Good morning, class. So today we are going to go through our next topic that we're learning about the nationalism, the growth of nationalism, the rise of nationalism. In this chapter, we studied about various aspects or various point as to what were the reasons or causes for the rise of nationalism, where we went across impact of the revolt of 1857. Then we studied about Western education and modern ideas, how modern ideas and Western education influenced the causes, or it became one of the causes for the rise of nationalism. Then the English language, then the common code of law and administrative unity, the topic like modern transport and communication system, remembering the glorious past of our historical past, which was earlier prevailing by the earlier kings, and how our country was prosperous and rich during that time in regarding to its tradition, culture, and heritage. On the other part, we also studied about the socio-religious reformers who were important, who brought about a lot of religious changes in the society practices, which also changed the mind of people and brought about national spirit among the people's mind. Then the importance of press system, that is newspaper pamphlets, and how people depicted or people brought about certain evil things of the government, or that is the British government, how they were exploiting the Indians, and what were the important causes for them to bring about these principles to the minds of the people. Then the literatures that were wrote by famous poets, writers like Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. Then you have Rabindranath Tagore. These were some of the important people who wrote many kind of poems, patriotic poems, literatures, which influenced a lot of people in regarding to their spirit to be enriched with patriotic feelings. Now you're going to learn about how the theory of exploitation, that is economic exploitation, brought about a lot of significant changes. Few details we had studied in a previous class, like various Britishers, when they entered India, we all know that they entered India with a perspective of bringing about a kind of system where they wanted to do only trade. But their main focus was to exploit Indian natural resources and political situations too. So in the upcoming times, when they started getting an interest into the political background of India, they started capturing, they started exploiting the economical and political situation of India. Now, economically, how it was done. Now, the Britishers' activities are well defined in one of the theories explained by Dada Saheb Nauroji, where he explained about writing in his famous book or theory, which is known as the drain theory of India, where he clearly explained how the Britishers, they drained most of the wealth from India, and they started benefiting their own country, Britain, or that is England. And they started using the industrial outputs with a very lesser price. Forcefully, they used to buy things from India at a very less price, whether it be raw materials, whether it be finished goods, and take them to their own country in Britain and manufacture goods with the help of those raw materials and get a fresh product from there, and again dump it in India itself. So it was a kind of thing where they are buying things, raw materials in lower prices forcefully from here, and again getting back to their own country, and again sending final products or finished products again back to India to be sold. So that was destroying the industries, Indian industries, to a large extent. The poor people were made to work hard at a very lower wages forcefully, and those unsympathetic characters of the British government was enraging a kind of anger into the minds of the people. And this anger, these reactions of the people later on brought about a feeling of generating their own national or patriotic feeling among them, and they started to come up to revolt against the government. The next is about the racial arrogance and racial discrimination of the British rulers. Like all Indians, irrespective of their social, economical, and political status wherever they belonged from. Now, some may be from a lower caste, some may be from a higher caste. Each of them were looked down and treated very badly by the British government. They were not given equal status in the society. They were not given any kind of privileges, that is to be even in their being in their own country, India. They were neglected, like as if they were living in some foreign or an alien state or an alien country, which was very harsh and very heartbreaking for these people. Now, the Western ideas of equality and personal freedom was taught in English schools and colleges in India. Now, when the Queen's Proclamation came in 1858, now it promised Indians to give equal opportunity, but it was totally opposite. The situation was totally opposite when it was practically to be practiced for the people. It was not so. Now, there were a lot of discriminatory policies, means discrimination between people, and those policies were of social, political as well as economical level. Like, what were those things? Some of the points let us go through. Now, Indians were barred from using parks, clubs, hospitals, libraries, even railways. Coaches were reserved for certain British people. That is, inferior parts were given to the Indians, and superior parts or superior things were most probably used by the British people and the families and the British people who lived here in India. That was discrimination. Why? Because those things are resources of India itself, and when Indian peoples are not allowed to use it, it is a kind of discrimination, being the citizen of this own country. And other important positions, like in offices and government places where higher positions were given, it was given most probably to the Britishers. It was allocated, or it was properly reserved for the British officers or British people or English people. And some of the lower posts were always given to the Indians. That is, if the person is highly educated also, those people were given lower post in the government or administrative works. Now, we have people who have worked under the British government systems, like we have Surendranath Banerjee, then who fought. He was also a person who fought for civil examinations to be held in India and in Britain simultaneously, where the Indians would also get an opportunity to go towards higher posts in the British administrative system. Now, and they also fought for getting privileges in the assemblies, that is Parliament. Now, Parliament was not open for the Indians earlier, but Indians, they fought against the British system, and somehow, to some extent, they were able to bring about changes. So those policies were very hard hitting for the Indians. Being in their own country, they were neglected totally in regarding to social, political, economical, in every aspect of their life. Then certain policies that were adopted by Lord Lytton. Now, what were the policies adopted by Lord Lytton? And Lord Lytton's policies was totally suppressive kind of policies. Now, the Vernacular Press Act was passed. Why it was passed? Because it was seen that Indian people or Indian press was continuously pressing, or they were printing details about the British government, how they were working, to let other common people know. So he passed the Vernacular Press Act, where the freedom of speech and expression was totally taken. It was deprived, it was cut out by the Indian people. Then the next was the Arms Act, where Indians could not keep arms with them without any license given by the government, which was not applicable for the Europeans. Because if there is an act passed, it should be without any discrimination, which should be for both for the Europeans as well as the Indians. But it was seen that this particular act was mainly formed for the British, for the Indian people, excluding the European people or the Britishers. Now, there was a reduction of age on ICS examination. Now, what is ICS examination? It that is Indian Civil Services. It was regarding Imperial Civil Services examination. Later on, it is called as Indian Service. Now, this examination earlier was for people of 21 years. Later on, it was reduced to 19 years. Now, the chances of Indian candidates who were capable of joining, the reduction in the age group made them suffer a lot, because Indians were considered to take education at a very later stages compared to the European people or the British people, who learned and who were educated from the earlier itself. So those age reduction also was a backdrop for the Indian people, which was all policies. These were the policies that were adopted by Lord Lytton, and it was very aggressive in nature. The next is Albert Bill controversy. Now, it was during Lord Ripon, it is said, that he had brought about a law or an enactment where he passed the Albert Bill. In this Albert Bill, he allowed the Indian judges who were there to try European criminal cases. Any European person who was accused of any criminal charges, he allowed the Indian judges to take over the case. But this was totally retaliated by the Europeans. Now, why they retaliated? They considered Indians to be inferior in every status. So they stated that Indians, whether they be highly educated, how much educated they are, but still they considered that they were not capable to judge them. So they were against it. So there were a lot of processions, a lot of agitations that have been done by the European people, and later on, seeing the conditions that prevailed, violent reactions that were there, Lord Ripon again had to take back his enactment that he had passed. Now this gave a kind of engraved racial arrogance that was done by the Europeans, considering the educated group of people who were at a judge's post to be not capable enough. That is, questioning their own. They felt like the others, Europeans, are trying to question their skills, their education level, and being a particular status, being in a status of being a judge, how can this particular question be asked to them? Like, it is a kind of defaming them and discriminating them. Now, in 1883, Surendranath Banerjee held Indian National Council. Within 2 years, the Indian National Congress later on was born to bring about all the significant kind of problems and progresses, and then solve the problems that were there existing by the Indian peoples. The next is about the Indian National Congress, how it was established. It is said that the establishment of Indian National Congress was done in 1885 under one of the English retired civil servant whose name was Allan Octavian, A.O. Hume, that is Allan Octavian Hume. Now what he suggested is that he asked the leaders or the famous people or rich people in the society to form an organization called as the Indian National Congress, and later on agreement, the foundation of the Indian National Congress was done in 1885. This Indian National Congress was formed to create natural and inedible product to produce the work that they are doing. And what the activities they had to do? The main activities was to bring forward their problems, the people problems, toward the government. Now after the Indian National Congress was made, the first session was held in Bombay, that is now in Mumbai, it is called, in 1885, which was presided, or the president of this session first session was W.C. Banerjee, and there were 72 members that attended this meeting. Now, what was the main objectives for the INC to be established, and the first session, what all the things they decided to do? Now, first of all, they tried to bring about a friendly atmosphere and relationship between the national workers in different parts of the nation. They wanted to unite all the nationalist workers who were trying to fight for our country or for the people, and to develop and strengthen feeling of national unity throughout the country. The third point, to formulate popular demand and to place them before the government. Now they believe that the government will do good for them, so they will note down all the demands and problems of the people and then bring it to the government, to train and organize public opinion in the country, to give trainings, to give speeches, to inform the people about various different things and get their opinions in regarding to what they wanted and how they wanted. So these were some of the important details they discussed. The next is the first session of the Congress ended with the delegates affirming the loyalty to the British Crown and declaring that their desire was greater involvement and participation of the Indians in the government. Now this soft conciliatory attitude of the Congress would in 44 years' time be transformed into a strident, empathetic demand for Purna Swaraj. What does it mean? Is that initially what they believe, that if they are loyal and they believe in the administrative system, the judgment of the British Crown or the British government, then what would happen, that whatever kind of justice they want, whatever kind of changes they want, they could request the British government and get it done. So what they have to do, they have to participate, involve themselves along with the British government and work under their umbrella. Now this situation gave a formation of a new group of people under the INC, okay, that we are going to learn in our next chapter, which is talking about various important aspects of these leaders, what changes they brought about, what movements were done, and what were the important beliefs and what were the important activities that took place in various different time periods. So this is all about this chapter to complete with. Now in upcoming times we will be doing other notes and other parts, and then try complete the syllabus as soon as possible. You'll get your notes on the next class. Kindly go through this video and get a proper update. If you have any doubt, you are free to put up your question to me. Thank you very much and have a very good day.